Hey YouTube, Gordon Miller here. Okay, so continue with my mentor series. This mentor series shout out is to Dr. Wayne Clough. So Wayne was Dean of the College of Engineering when I was offered my position. I had become the co-founder for the Lab for Scientific Visual Analysis, as I had said in my last video. And Dr. Ron Kriz was the co-founder, as he's the one who actually founded the lab, but he decided to make me co-founder. And the university had actually offered him the opportunity to start the multimedia lab, and he said no, that that's Gordon's deal, and Gordon deserves his own lab. And so I got a call from the dean of engineering, Wayne Clough, and Wayne says, "I'd like to see you in my office." I'm like, oh, geez, okay. Because my paycheck was coming from engineering and for the work that for the graduate research assistantship that I was doing with the Lab for Scientific Visual Analysis, and I was teaching. So I was getting paid to teach. And I was like, oh, shit, this is not good. I'm going to lose my job. So I was like, I thought I was doing pretty well. So, but I come in and, Wayne had an open door policy. And so his door was always open. And, he goes, come on in. He goes, close the door. I'm like, oh, geez, man, I'm screwed. So he goes, sit down. And I'm like, okay. So I sit down. And he's like, so look, you've been doing a great job here. The students are doing really well. Sponsored research is really going crazy. He goes, we're getting a bunch of these funds from the State Council for Higher Education in Virginia, SHEV. And he goes, I'd like to know what it would take for you to stay. And I go, stay? What do you mean? And he goes, well, join us as faculty, after, become an instructor, and you'd be administrative faculty working in the dean's office in engineering. You'd have responsibilities for your own lab. We would fund the development of the multimedia lab at Virginia Tech. And I'd like to know if you'd like to stay and be the founder of that lab. And we have a grant from IBM, and it's a $250,000 grant, as well as we have SHEV money coming and a bunch of other stuff like that. So are you interested in staying? And I was like, wow, okay. I said, I tell you what, I've done most of my work in architecture on Macintoshes, and I know that they're the PCs, that the multimedia PC had just become a thing in 1989, and IBM was desperately trying to have it compete with the Macintoshes. And so I said, I tell you what, I will accept your offer on one condition. And he goes, okay. I said, if I can get Apple to put up another 250,000, so it's a cross-platform lab between the Macs and PCs, and both platforms are equally represented, then I'll do it. And he goes, well, okay, so you're going to get Apple to give you $250,000. And again, this is in, the 1990. So we're talking, that was equal to, in today's money, probably close to $750,000. And so, Wayne kind of sits back in his chair and he's like, okay, sure. If you can get Apple to give you another $250,000 to match the IBM money, then by all means, yeah, sure, of course. And so, he's like, well, don't you want to talk salary or anything else like that? No, I mean, that's fine. Whatever you guys think is fair. And so, I was really more focused on getting the opportunity to do what I really wanted to do and what I love to do. And he goes, well, if you're going to get $250,000 to go on top of the other $250,000, do you know how you're going to spend it? I mean, what would you buy? And I said, well, as luck would have it, and I pulled a list out that I've been carrying around that I hand drew, little cartoons of all the things I would buy. And I've been specifying my own lab for close to a year and a half. And I said, this list here, and I handed him the list, represents $1 million. I said, I want $1 million commitment over the next 5 years, a total. And we got $500,000 now. I want $500,000 more over the next 5 years. and I'll do it. And the but in order to make sure that you understand where I'm coming from, I'll actually go out and get the other $250,000. And he's like, okay. So I contacted the guys at Apple. I knew their educational folks, and I called David Sabata, and I think David Harrington also got involved, and a few other people. And so uh, I put in my proposal. I put in my pitch for, we'd like this cross-platform lab. It would be one of the first of its kind in any major educational institution, and it would be one of the largest, most successful ones anywhere in the country. And so Apple said, sure, send us the shipping address. And so Apple donated $250,000 worth of hardware on top of everything else. And it was amazing. I mean, it was really, I went back to Dr. Clough and I said, Wayne, it looks like the folks at Apple are interested in contributing. You got this stuff from IBM, let's go. And we started building the lab, and I reached out to other departments in architecture and things like that. They donated some equipment so that we had been able to afford. When the Chev money came in, there was literally more money than we knew what to do with in terms of hardware and things like that. We had lab assistants that were helping the students. Ultimately, we gave 700 lab tours the first 3 years. We did every single one of the Fortune 500 companies, as well as 118 delegations from all of our allied nations came through. So it was an amazing situation. It really was. And I really appreciated that opportunity.
Motion detected at the front door.
Motion detected, nice. So Alexa, do not disturb.
I won't disturb you.
Thanks. So anyway, it was a great opportunity. The lab was one of the few of its kind. We had these 118 different delegations from all of our allied nations. So I got to meet people from Ukraine and Russia and Bulgaria and Finland and Switzerland and Sweden and all sorts of places. I mean, it was great. I mean, Europe and all of Europe, France, England, Scotland. So I really enjoyed that very much. And we had 400 or so students working on 150 projects in the lab, and over the course of the 5 years. And it was a great opportunity, it really was. And I would normally have stayed. I mean, Wayne Clough left to become the president of Georgia Tech at just when the Atlanta had won the Olympics in that time frame. And Wayne and I had a great relationship. He was a great mentor to me, and I owe all of starting the lab to his vision for how that was going to come together, and his ability to sort of leave me alone and let me do what I was going to do. And I admire and I respect him for that. I do. The other folks in engineering when Wayne left were not as supportive. A lot of them saw me as a threat because here I was getting worldwide recognition. We were doing some amazing things. And I think that I was overshadowing some of the other work that was going on that they were really responsible for, that wasn't getting the same level of attention. And I think that, some of my colleagues were jealous. And so they systematically sought to dismantle and destroy what I was working on because they could. And so I don't like working in those kind of environments or under that condition. So when my 5-year contract was up, I waited 5 years and 3 days, and I put in my notice and said I'm leaving. And that's when I went to focus on the company full time, and that was in February of 1998, and in April of 98, a couple months later, we got our biggest contract to date at that time, which was our Army contract, and made our first $1 million the next year. So anyway, it's just one of those kind of things where I really owe a great debt of gratitude to Wayne Clough, who is my mentor for this video. And Wayne went on to become the director of the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., where I stopped by to visit him once there. And I just have an enormous amount of respect for somebody who treats people the way he does. He's been a phenomenal success. He's a great engineer, but I really do appreciate and admire and respect all the work that Wayne did. He took a huge chance. He put a lot on the line and a lot of money in the process in order to be able to see this thing happen. And everything that I had said would happen came true. So, as typically happens, but it's one of those kind of things that Wayne really did a phenomenal job. You're a great mentor, Wayne, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.